Imagine for a moment that your body is not just a collection of organs, but a complex, high-speed information network where every cell is constantly communicating, detoxifying, and repairing. Within this biological masterpiece, there exists a specific system, the lymphatic system, that functions as the body's internal waste management infrastructure. For decades, we've been taught to look at health through the lens of pills and procedures. But today, here at RealLogic Science, we are stripping back the layers of conventional medicine to look at a substance that modern biochemistry is only now beginning to fully decode. We are talking about castor oil, but not in the way your grandmother used it. Today, we are exploring it as a high-precision molecular tool for cellular longevity and systemic detoxification. If you've followed our previous investigations into natural health, you know we value data over hype. So, before we dive into the molecular mechanics that make this oil the ultimate biological solvent, make sure to subscribe to RealLogic Science and hit the notification bell. We are on a mission to bring you the evidence-based truth about human optimization, and you won't want to miss what we've uncovered in our research for this deep dive. To truly understand why castor oil is causing such a stir in the US biohacking community, we have to move past the surface and look at its unique molecular anatomy. Nearly 90% of this oil is composed of a rare fatty acid known as ricinoleic acid. While most fats, like those found in coconut or olive oil, are used for energy or structural integrity, ricinoleic acid is different because of a single, strategically placed hydroxyl group on the 12th carbon of its 18-carbon chain. This tiny chemical detail changes everything. It gives the oil a lower molecular weight and a specific polarity that allows it to penetrate the human dermis far more effectively than almost any other lipid known to science. Most topical oils simply sit on the stratum corneum, the outermost layer of the skin, providing nothing more than a temporary barrier. But ricinoleic acid acts as a transdermal carrier, moving through the layers of the skin to interact with the underlying interstitial fluid. This fluid is the sea in which your cells swim. And when this oil enters that environment, it begins a fascinating dialogue with your biology, specifically targeting the EP3 and EP4 prostanoid receptors. These receptors are the gatekeepers of the body's inflammatory response. By modulating these pathways, castor oil does something that pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories often fail to do. It encourages the body to resolve inflammation rather than just suppressing it. Suppression often leads to stagnant inflammation, whereas resolution allows the tissue to return to its homeostatic state. Moving deeper into the system, we encounter the true power of this molecular key within the lymphatic system. At RealLogic Science, we often describe the lymphatic system as the sewage system of the body, but it's a system with a major design flaw. It has no pump. While the heart pumps blood through the arteries, the lymph relies entirely on muscular movement, deep breathing, and chemical signaling to move metabolic waste out of the tissues. This is a critical point because, in our modern sedentary lifestyle, lymphatic stagnation is the root cause of almost every chronic condition, from autoimmune flare-ups to persistent brain fog. This is where the application of a castor oil pack over the Cisterna Chyli, the large collecting reservoir located deep in the abdomen, just below the rib cage, becomes a game changer. Research indicates that the topical application of ricinoleic acid can stimulate a significant increase in the production and circulation of T lymphocytes. These are the specialized white blood cells that identify and destroy pathogens and toxins. By supercharging the Cisterna Chyli, you are essentially hitting the flush button on your body's internal waste management system. This isn't just about feeling better. It's about a measurable increase in cellular filtration that prevents the accumulation of cellular debris, which, if left unchecked, can lead to systemic autoimmune responses and accelerated aging. But the story of castor oil doesn't end with the lymph. Let's talk about the liver, your primary detoxification hub. In the modern world, the liver is under constant siege from microplastics, heavy metals, and processed chemicals that were never intended for human consumption. Most liver cleanses on the market are ineffective because they only address phase 1 detoxification, which can actually produce more toxic intermediate metabolites if phase 2 isn't ready to handle the load. However, the RealLogic Science approach looks at phase 2, the conjugation phase where toxins are made water-soluble so they can be excreted. When a castor oil pack is applied over the right upper quadrant of the abdomen, the localized heat and the absorption of ricinoleic acid stimulate the gallbladder and the liver's bile ducts. This creates a gentle osmotic pull, encouraging the movement of stagnant bile, often referred to as bile sludge. This is critical because bile is the primary vehicle the liver uses to dump its toxic load into the intestines. By improving bile flow, you are effectively preventing the reabsorption of toxins into the bloodstream, a phenomenon known as enterohepatic circulation. When this circulation is broken, people often experience weight loss plateaus, hormonal imbalances, and skin issues because the body is simply recycling the same toxins over and over again. Beyond the liver, we must address the endocrine system, specifically the thyroid gland. In the United States, thyroid dysfunction has reached epidemic proportions, often driven by localized inflammation and lymphatic congestion in the neck. Here at RealLogic Science, we've been looking at the cold compress versus hot compress theory in relation to thyroid nodules and Hashimoto's. By applying high-quality, cold-pressed castor oil to the base of the neck, we are facilitating a localized lymphatic drain. This helps to reduce the bystander effect of inflammation, where the thyroid becomes collateral damage to a congested neck and throat area. It's a subtle but profound biohack that supports the gland's ability to produce T3 and T4 hormones without the interference of inflammatory cytokines. Furthermore, ricinoleic acid has been shown to improve localized blood flow, which is essential for the transport of iodine, the raw material the thyroid needs to function. Without adequate blood flow and lymph drainage, even the best iodine supplements will fail to reach their target. One of the most profound, yet frequently misunderstood, applications of this oil is what we call the Pechoti method, the application of oil directly into the navel. To a skeptic, this might sound like folk medicine, but to a biologist, it is a fascinating entry point into the enteric nervous system. The navel is a remnant of our first connection to life, and it remains a hub where thousands of nerve endings and blood vessels converge. Specifically, it is a gateway to the vagus nerve, the longest nerve of the autonomic nervous system. The vagus nerve is responsible for the rest and digest state, technically known as the parasympathetic nervous system. In our high-stress American lifestyle, most of us are stuck in a state of sympathetic dominance, fight or flight. This keeps our cortisol high, our digestion stunted, and our sleep shallow. Applying castor oil to the navel triggers a sensory response that signals the vagus nerve to downregulate the stress response. This is why so many users report a sudden onset of deep restorative sleep and a reduction in anxiety within minutes of application. It is a direct hack into the body's off switch for stress, bypassing the conscious mind entirely. Now, let's venture into a territory that most health channels avoid: the impact of castor oil on reproductive health and pelvic stagnation. For women struggling with PCOS, endometriosis, or painful cycles, the root cause is often congestive pelvic syndrome, a state where blood and lymph flow in the pelvic cavity becomes sluggish. This leads to the buildup of excess estrogen, as the liver cannot properly clear it. By using a pelvic pack of castor oil, we can stimulate the smooth muscle of the lymphatic vessels in the pelvic floor. This aids in the clearance of excess hormones and reduces the inflammatory prostaglandins that cause cramping. For men, this same protocol can support prostate health by reducing localized inflammation and improving the microcirculation required for optimal hormonal health. At RealLogic Science, we believe that flow is the fundamental principle of health. Where there is flow, there is life. Where there is stagnation, there is disease. However, we must issue a serious warning here at RealLogic Science. Because castor oil is a powerful biological solvent, it is incredibly efficient at carrying whatever it touches directly into your bloodstream. This is a double-edged sword. If you are using oil that has been processed with hexane, a neurotoxic solvent used in mass production to increase yield, you are effectively delivering neurotoxins into your deep tissues. Hexane exposure has been linked to peripheral neuropathy and central nervous system depression. Furthermore, if your oil is stored in a plastic bottle, the ricinoleic acid will leach phthalates and bisphenol A BPA from the plastic. These are known endocrine disruptors that mimic estrogen and can wreck your hormonal balance, leading to weight gain and mood swings. To get the results we are talking about in this documentary, your oil must be organic, hexane-free, expeller-pressed, and most importantly, it must be stored in an amber glass bottle. The amber glass protects the delicate fatty acids from photooxidation, ensuring that the oil remains biologically active. Never settle for anything less, because in the world of biohacking, The quality of the input determines the quality of the output. We must also discuss the role of castor oil in skin regeneration and scar tissue remodeling. Fibrosis, or the buildup of scar tissue, is the body's emergency response to injury. But often, this scar tissue becomes permanent, restricting blood flow and nerve conduction. The high concentration of ricinoleic acid has a unique ability to break down cross-linked collagen fibers. This is why it is so effective for fading old scars, reducing the appearance of stretch marks, and even softening internal adhesions following surgery. From a biohacking perspective, this is tissue editing. By applying the oil to areas of fibrosis, you are signaling the body to restart the remodeling process, replacing stiff, dysfunctional tissue with flexible, healthy fibers. This also extends to the scalp, where it has been used for centuries to stimulate hair follicles. The mechanism here is not just moisture. It is the stimulation of prostaglandin D2 and E2 in the hair bulb, which extends the anagen or growth phase of the hair cycle. As we look toward the future of holistic health, it's clear that we are moving away from the idea of magic pills and toward a more nuanced understanding of biological support. We are transitioning from a model of attacking symptoms to a model of optimizing pathways. Castor oil isn't a cure-all, it is a facilitator. It facilitates the removal of waste, the resolution of inflammation, the balancing of the nervous system, and the remodeling of tissue. Here at RealLogic Science, we want to challenge you to move beyond passive consumption and into active experimentation. We call this the 21-day cellular reset. This isn't a fast or a cleanse in the traditional sense. It is a period of focused biological assistance. By choosing one of the protocols we've discussed, whether it's the nightly navel application for sleep, the thyroid drain for hormonal clarity, or the weekly liver pack for systemic detoxification, you can begin to collect your own data. Your body is a laboratory, and you are the lead scientist. Throughout this journey, pay close attention to the Herxheimer or detox reactions. As your lymph starts to move and your liver starts to dump decades of stored waste, you might experience temporary fatigue or mild skin breakouts. This is not a sign that the protocol is failing. It is a sign that the biological sewage is finally moving toward the exits. The key is to support this process with high hydration, mineral-rich sea salts, and deep breathing to assist the lymphatic system's final clearance. This is the difference between a superficial fix and deep cellular healing. If you've found this molecular breakdown valuable, share this video with someone who is struggling with their health and looking for a deeper answer. We are building a community here at RealLogic Science where we don't just accept aging as an inevitable decline, but as a process we can navigate with precision and intelligence. The more we share this evidence-based knowledge, the more we can empower people to take control of their own biology and step out of the cycle of chronic disease. Thank you for being a part of this journey. We are committed to digging through the noise of the wellness industry to find the signals that actually matter for your longevity. Don't forget to check the links in the description for our recommended sourcing and advanced protocol guides, as we only recommend products that meet our rigorous scientific standards. Stay curious, stay scientific, and remember that the most powerful technology on Earth is already inside you. You just need the right tools to unlock it. This has been RealLogic Science, signing off for now. But the journey to cellular mastery has only just begun. I'll see you in the next deep dive.